For 45 years, George Nakashima has called the woods of New Hope, Pennsylvania, home, a place where he can take nature's art and turn it into a work of art. At 84, Nakashima is the elder statesman of the American crafts movement, but Nakashima still thinks of himself as a woodworker.
For many years, there wasn't even anything called a woodworker. I mean, it's an expression that actually had a bad name. But I've continued calling myself a woodworker, and the situation is such that there are tens of thousands of woodworkers now throughout the country. And people are proud, I think, to assume that title.
George Nakashima was born in Seattle. It was there, roaming the mountains of the Pacific Northwest, that he developed his great love for wood. Today, he searches the world over to come up with fine timber for his furniture.
You take such care in choosing the wood and the type of wood that you use.
Yes, yes. That's my reason for being, I guess, is that kind of selection. We try to come up with the very finest material we're able to find and put it into the best piece of furniture that we can come up with. I wouldn't have the heart to cut trees, to log. But as long as they're cut and they're logged, well, I feel that I make the best use of it. Was this a break, Adam? Was this a break here?
Yeah.
Nakashima was trained in architecture at MIT, but decided to devote his life to woodworking.
Oh, I see.
And even though times have changed, Nakashima has stayed with the old ways.
Pocket. I think, can you make the epoxy a little thin? And try to soak it up a little bit.
Just to hold it together.
I think, again, it's a question of material and quality. Now, the modern way, it has to be based on veneer. And I just can't stand veneer aesthetically. So I have to operate in my own way, which brought me back to the early Americans and the early American tradition. I'm primarily American. I was born in this country. But I'm very much of a Japanese. And there's a Japanese aesthetics, which are just extraordinary. And I feel that all that sort of should be kept.
Nakashima spent many years traveling in Paris, Japan, and India. But on the eve of World War II, he decided he should return home to Seattle. When war broke out between the United States and Japan, he and his family were sent to an internment camp in Minidoka, Idaho.
Well, I think it was a situation that gathered momentum, and there really wasn't much to be done about it. I didn't feel particularly betrayed myself. It was very, very hard because my daughter was only about 6 weeks old when we had to go into a concentration camp. And it upset my wife a good deal, but she did the best she could, and I think my daughter came out of it all right.
Japanese Americans were allowed to leave the internment camps if they could settle away from the West Coast. A friend gave Nakashima a job on his farm in New Hope. A few years later, he acquired 3 acres of his own and began building his home. His daughter Mira remembers those early days.
I was 4 or 5. I remember when we first came here, it was all covered with honeysuckle and poison ivy, and Dad had to carry us in. We didn't have a place to live, so we lived in this army tent for several months.
Gradually, Nakashima built their home, then started on the workshops. It's now a family affair with his wife Marion, son Kevin,
Well, let's offer it.
and Mira, who's an architect herself.
Princeton, I guess.
Yeah. I've been with Dad at the lumberyard a lot of times, and when he cuts a log, you know, he'll look at the log and say, what are we going to make out of this? You know, we got to think about what we're going to need in 5 years, but also what this log is best suited for. He will work from the wood rather than what the customer wants, and sometimes we run into trouble that way, but that's the way he works.
A bench here marked for Yasui. Can you walk it over to the other side?
Nakashima now has about a dozen people working for him. Still, if you want a piece of his furniture, there's a 1-year wait.
That's the one I want. Yeah, I have a hand in almost every piece, either to do the layout work or the selection or a lot of little decisions that have to be made. But it's not like it used to be. I used to make every piece that went out of the shop myself, but I don't attempt to do that now.
George Nakashima has been honored in Japan, but will have his first major retrospective in this country in May at the American Craft Museum in New York City.
My feeling about a fine piece of timber is that it should be realized to its fullest possibility and beauty. And there has to be that relationship between natural things and the human psyche. And I feel that a tree has a soul, that if this is not realized, then it's condemned.
Is George Nakashima a rich man?
Well, in some ways, I suppose, but not money-wise. I do what I want, and my family and I live very unrichly. We have to make money, but that certainly is not my objective, is to make money, is to create beauty. It's as simple as that.